Welcome everybody to the every 2-week meeting of the Mayor and Common Council for the City of Westminster, bi-weekly. If you have any electronic devices, please silence them during the meeting, and we'll begin the meeting as we always do with a pledge to the flag and a moment of silence.
Flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. So Mayor Utz could not join us this evening. He has a professional obligation that has kept him out of town. He sends his regards. In his absence, we will proceed to the first item on the agenda, which is the presentation on the new business incubator program. Ms. Catherine Penn.
Hello?
You're good.
Okay, good. So my name is Catherine Penn. I'm with the Community Preservation and Stewardship Corporation, and we are very excited to be working with the City of Westminster and the Office of Economic Development to launch a business incubator that focuses on growing the retail and restaurant businesses along the historic Main Street corridor. My organization, CPSC, works with business owners and developers to expand community services and business opportunities in the neighborhoods where those developers and owners do business. So this is a great opportunity. We've brought together, or plan to bring together the many resources that you already have here at the city through the Office of Economic Development, the Carroll County Business Corridor, Business Navigator, and the college, as well as resources through CPSC, a grant program that we'll provide to business incubator applicants to try and bring those businesses into the historic Main Street and get them to stay there. So, Ms. will talk a little bit about the application.
I am so excited about this program, I can't even tell you. In these trying times, it's hard to build and sustain a business, a small business. So we think that this opportunity to build an incubator gives our potential businesses that leg up with financial assistance, mentoring assistance, and really managerial assistance. It's a combination of the courses at the Miller Center at Carroll Community College, the Business Navigator at the Office of Economic Development, and our oversight to work together. And how it works is there's going to be an application process. The application, CPSC has done a phenomenal job. Kate is a wonderful partner in this process, creating an application to really review what the sustainability of a business concept is. Where are they with regard to the readiness for them to be in? Is it just a concept, an idea, or is it a new business? Are they about to launch? Or is it a business that's already in process and now they're going to emerge into a larger business? All of which build the opportunity for us to have individuals come to downtown Westminster to eat, dine, shop, enjoy, experience all that we have to offer. So the incubator is for restaurants and retailers in the historic downtown district. There's an application process which really makes the applicants have to take a step back and take a review of what they're doing. So they have to be deliberate about their business plan, what their vision is, where they fit in the downtown landscape. And then through a process where we review the application, we assign them a mentor, potential for grant funding, and the grants are really intended to help them with maybe a rent subsidy or perhaps for operational expenses, marketing expenses, software, POS system, something of that nature. It's a grant. We're also going to work with John Wheatman and his team to potentially have them be eligible for the loan program that they have for those capitalized expenses that can be collateralized later for a regular loan. So it's a really outstanding program. We'll have assigned mentors. We're going to work through the SCORE program as well to have mentors assigned. And what we're hoping is that through this application process, it's a stringent process to review what they're doing, their vision, their mission, their operation, their sustainability, and their fit. with downtown already to ensure that they will be part of a thriving landscape in downtown. We already have 3 businesses that are ready to apply for the program, so we're really excited. So that's the incubator in a nutshell.
Is it optional?
Is it optional?
Is it optional for the businesses?
To
They
participate.
can choose not to?
Oh, it's
It's an application.
Oh, it's
They
by
don't have-
application.
Yes, it's by application, so they don't have to participate at all, but we want the ones that, it gives us an opportunity, basically, to help those businesses that are, make the best match for Main Street.
Yeah, we have a couple of businesses that have really been wanting to come on Main Street, but there's a barrier to entry. It's either the rent is expensive, or the furniture and fixtures are expensive, or perhaps the POS system, the point of sale system that they need might be cost prohibitive. This is the opportunity for us to reduce the barrier to entry and get them to come on Main Street and eliminate the revolving door of, I ran out of money 3 months and now it's time to go. Or I've got, I call all money, no brains. They have a great idea and, you know, they have had the mentoring, the assistance, and it's so those opportunities for us to really establish a mentoring, long-term sustainable business where people can come downtown and it becomes just a walking tour of great places to live.
Mr. President?
Mr. Kravitz?
Ms. Wilcox, how are we funding this? Grant?
This is being funded through CPSC.
Right, so it's a grant?
And the money from CPSC is coming from a local business owner in the Westminster community.
Okay.
So there's no cost to the city.
No city funds
You're
are
already providing.
Not that it's not a great
Right,
program.
but this is basically based on what you're already providing, and we are just helping to pool all those resources together and add in the little funding element of the grant money and then my services to help guide it.
Wonderful.
Now, the other thing I want to point out is that this is a little different model than the traditional business incubator model. Traditionally, people think of a business incubator, it's a big building where businesses can come in and operate, and then once they get their footing, they leave. In this case, because we want to grow businesses that will stay on Main Street, we're going to incubate them in place. So we're going to help them to find the location that best matches their business and set them up there so that they will remain in that place until they outgrow it and hopefully relocate somewhere else along Main Street. And that way they can get all their clientele, all the people that are used to seeing that business there, when they're done, graduate from the incubator, they're still there, serving the same clientele.
So you mentioned Main Street. I'm assuming we're going to have a small radius off of Main Street. Oh, Lordens is a great example.
Yeah,
where
it's
that's not on Main Street, but
The nomenclature we always use is Main Street, but it really is, it's that
That
downtown
corridor.
corridor.
Right.
It's,
Liberty
what do we
Street.
call it? The designated Main Street
Yeah,
corridor.
designated Main Street corridor, so Liberty Street, Greens,
Sure.
parts of John Street, those kinds of things.
Is all the funding from just one person that's getting the grants? or-
So far, but we would like to see as the incubator starts operating and people see how successful it is, we do plan to raise more money to continue to fund it.
should we give that person a plug? Or they remain anonymous?
Well, he has an interest in the former Albion Hotel
Okay.
and also serves as the chairman on CPSC. So
Okay.
that's how we got to be here.
Okay.
And all the pieces came together. What we would like to do is, as the incubator becomes successful, we hope to be able to grow it and offer greater amounts of grant money to a larger number of businesses.
Super.
Mr. President, everybody.
Yes, Mr.
So this incubator, the way it's working now, instead of the traditional form, is that I guess the grants would just offset the price for the rental of the building or whatever, and whatever else that they need.
Right.
So they can stay wherever if it's right out here on Main Street, they start there, they can stay there, so they don't have to move from an incubator
Exactly.
building to somewhere else. So,
Especially with something like retail or restaurant, there's so much in the setup, you wouldn't want to relocate.
what's the timeline for them to be off, I guess, the grants, if you
Sure,
put that
it'll
way?
depend on the business, and because this is a small enough target group that we're working with, we expect that each applicant will, as we go through the application process, will put together the best formula that we recommend for them, the amount of funding that they might need, the length of time we think is an appropriate amount, based on their particular place. We are not necessarily looking for businesses that are ready to open tomorrow in our applicants, although we will take those as well. We're looking at whatever stage that business is in right now. If they're still maybe 6 months to a year from opening, we can still work with them and help them get through the whole process, hook them up with a mentor so that they can go through the process with that assistance of all the services, so that they can still channeling them over to Main Street.
And we're hoping the mentorship program is sustained far beyond the funding, so that's that go-to person for ongoing questions and comments.
Ms. Wolf?
This was an idea that came out of the business roundtables, where we had a group of business owners who came in, and it was only business owners at that round table. And this was one of the ideas that came out of that.
Thank you. Anything else, Ms. Pitt?
No, thank you.
All right. Our next agenda item is announcement of the 250th anniversary celebration event schedule. Ms. Wilcox?
Before we do that, for more information about the incubator, it will be on the Westminster MD.gov website. The application will be there as well. Just had to- So now we get to talk about the Sesquicentennial.
Sesquicentennial.
I defy you to say that 3 times fast. That is the, and you're all doing it, that's great. Okay. I'll take a moment. All right. That is the official terminology for the 250th anniversary of the city of Westminster. Now, it's the founding of the city, not the incorporation, because if you look at our seal, it has a different date. In 1764, William Winchester, who was an indentured servant from Westminster, Maryland, came and established
Westminster, England.
England. Yes, I'm sorry. You're right. Westminster, England. Thank you. Came and established himself here in Westminster. And he decided to name it after his namesake. So this is the 250th anniversary, and we have a lot of really great ideas and events planned for the Sesquicentennial. Beginning with our formal kickoff is going to be on near Arbor Day, where we are going to plant a sapling from a tree that was in existence 250 years ago. There is no building in existence still that was in existence 250 years ago. So the next best thing is this awesome tree that's on Willow Street. So we're taking a whip from the white oak and our king maple. That's a tree. It's a great tree on Willow Street. So, and that's going to be planted on Arbor Day. And we're also doing a series of fantastic events with a 250th anniversary float. We are doing a historic walking tour of downtown Westminster, where we're taking transparencies. We're painting footprints on downtown Westminster. You put your feet in the footprints and you hold up the transparency to see what downtown Westminster was like back in the day. We can't go back to 1764. They didn't really have cameras then, so it'll be as early as we can. We have a lot of great photography from the 1800s, so you'll be able to see that. And we're also celebrating the anniversary of the Historical Society and the Carroll County Chamber, so there'll be a lot of great events. And the number 250 is very, very significant and relevant, so we are also launching a contest of, we're calling them three-dimensional, I don't want to call them masterpieces because that sounds very, very daunting, and so they're like mini pieces, I guess, of 250 three-dimensional structures. So the library could do something with 250 books. Lindy could do something with 250 paintbrushes. And so we're asking people to use their imagination to showcase their business or their home or their hobby with 250 items. And that will be a great thing that's happening throughout, and there'll be prizes and things of that nature. So we've got lots of things. We're going to have a time capsule. We're going to have a block party here on the City Hall grounds in September with live music, and the Historic District Commission is going to do some great things with time capsule. And we'll have our holiday house tour in December. So this is really the formal introduction of a series of great events throughout the year. Any questions?
Mr. President, so
Mr.
we're
President.
going to be making a time capsule or opening one up?
There will be one that will be made.
Okay.
Yeah.
We don't have one to open? Not that we know of, right?
There might be one out there, I don't know. Not that we know of, yes, so we're gonna create one. So it'll be a great float. And
Have we had one, Joe?
you have one?
We do, as a matter of fact. I can't tell you the date that it was sealed or when it's supposed to be open, but we do have one. And it's down by the, oh, maybe I shouldn't say where it is.
Good idea.
Yeah.
Especially on TV.
Right. But we can check into that.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the
That would
thing
be
to do
neat.
is
They
to.
could be one to open it
Yeah, we could open it and then do a new one.
What the heck?
Yeah.
Oh, if it's like 25 years old, maybe
Yeah,
not.
once it was like last year.
Right.
In 2000.
From the disco era,
Right. Yes.
the Bee Gees album
Yes,
or
that's
something.
Other questions or comments? We're also hoping, we applied for a grant for, a facade grant for, to be able to showcase all of the buildings in town who have benefited from the facade improvements, to make that part of our celebration as well. So all kinds of history, geography, and architecture and art. So we're just hoping that it really showcases all of the different parts of what's great about living in downtown Westminster.
Thank you very much.
Sounds great.
Nice job, miss.
Our next agenda item is approval of the minutes from our meeting from March 10th.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Second?
Motion and a second. Any further discussion, corrections, amendments, deletions? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Minutes are approved. We have no public hearings. We have one item on the consent calendar, approval of the February departmental operating reports. Ms. Wolf, anything to highlight? Okay. Any,
Make a motion to approve the February
we
operating
have a
reports.
motion?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion or questions? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Consent calendar is approved. Obviously, no report from the mayor. Reports from standing committees. Mr. Whitson?
Nothing at this time.
Mr. Frazier?
I had something, but I didn't write it down. so
I can
nothing
come
at
back
this
to you.
time.
Ms. Albert?
Nothing tonight, thank you.
Mr. Gavacci?
I have one item, Mr. President. Some of you may have read a letter to the editor that was published in the Times, I guess it was about a week ago, and it talked about the Celtic Canter, which was a wonderful event. But unfortunately, there was a family that was trying to gain access to Dove House, and they were denied access, and it was a very time-sensitive situation because everybody who's there is on usually a limited amount of time. And there was a individual stationed at the entrance or somewhere near there that was not allowing the family to access the Dove House. We had made arrangements to accommodate family members so they could get into the Dove House, and the letter to the editor stated that it was a Westminster police officer that was rude and would not let him in, very gruff, non-caring. We took that seriously. The chief investigated it. We found out exactly who the individual was that was stationed there. He was in fact not a Westminster City police officer. As a matter of fact, he had no real relation with the city of Westminster whatsoever. I'm not going to name him or his organization, but it's my understanding that the organization he was working for has taken some type of corrective action and having training or discussion or something in terms of dealing with that gentleman. But I just wanted to make it public that the letter to the editor was inaccurate. It was not a Westminster City police officer. It was not a Westminster City employee. And I wanted to make sure that that's out there because I suspect we won't see another letter written to the editor correcting that. But I may be surprised. So I wanted to bring that up this evening. So that's all I have for committee reports, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Gavacci. Mr. Frazier, did you? Okay. All right, I have nothing, and so we're on to council comments and discussion. Do any council members have any other issues they'd like to bring up or discuss?
I do, Mr. President.
Mr.
Unless
Gavacci?
somebody else, I don't want to hog the floor.
I'll go away.
I just wanted to, I guess, maybe broach the subject. There was a good article in the Times related to Hampstead or Manchester?
Manchester.
Passed a synthetic drug ordinance that I think has caught the attention of the county. And in the article, they talked about the county is now investigating into what they may or may not be able to do, and there was a lot of information about the legalese in terms of what you can and can't do, particularly how difficult it is to identify the specific chemicals that you then ban. And anyway, I'm not going to rehash the article, but it started me thinking that, and I think even in the article they mentioned that the county may be looking for cooperation from the municipalities in terms of maybe an ordinance or something to address this problem. I'm not 100% sure what we currently have on our books related to that, but I think that we should be paying attention to it. I think it is a problem that we're seeing more and more of. I know that we made a pretty significant arrest, I believe, in confiscation of 1,200 packets of something like that, if I remember correctly. It was a large quantity. Right, there you go. So we're certainly seeing it here in the city of Westminster, and I wanted to just get it into our agenda in terms of, start the conversation of looking into what we can do ordinance-wise, because I think you guys, police, are doing a good job enforcing what's available, but maybe we can provide you something more toothy to go after this, because at the end of the day, I think it is a problem, and I think it's going to become a bigger problem as time goes on, and I'd like to see us join our brethren up there, up the street, with doing something more than just what we currently have. So I'm not asking for an action at this moment. I think maybe between staff and our city attorney and folks, we can maybe get some information of what we have, what we should be doing, and then just keep it moving forward to see where we maybe want to be. Obviously, with a lot of probably guidance from our police department as well. So really just a discussion primer.
Any other comments or discussion?
I have one thing I'd like to bring up, Mr. President.
Is it about Mr. Gavacci's thing?
Oh, no, something different.
Because actually, I'd like to, so I agree with you that if there's something we can do, we should, but I think the key item in that article, which was that was an excellent piece of reporting.
I thought so too.
It was very detailed and I think comprehensive in terms of hitting on all the different facets of the issue. And I think the key piece of that was the forensic scientists' comments about the challenges of specifically identifying substances in a way that will hold up in court. And this is a game of cat and mouse where the DEA and the feds will identify some substance as being illegal, and then the criminal elements that manufacture and sell this stuff will tweak it by a molecule and then be able to skirt the law again. And it's an ongoing battle between the federal folks and these criminal elements, and the federal or the forensic investigator really kind of hit on the key thing about the wording of the legislation. And I think Commissioner Shoemaker, who was, I think, leading the charge here at the commissioner level, kind of hit it on the head and said, look, there's no perfect piece of legislation, and we're trying to do our best. But if at the end of the day, we're really not adding a weapon into the law enforcement's hands that's going to make a significant difference, I'm not sure there's much we can add. That the federal, if the DEA is on the cutting edge of these things, I'm not sure we're going to have the resources or the expertise to materially increment our law enforcement guys' ability to prosecute this stuff or to enforce those kinds of laws and in a way that's going to result in successful prosecutions, But I could be wrong. It's certainly something worthy of further discussion and investigation.
I'm okay with just successful harassment of some of these places so they stop doing it because it's such a pain in the rear end for them, to be honest with you.
Sure.
But I hear what you're saying.
Harassment in sort of the loose colloquial sense, not in the official law enforcement
Right,
sense.
exactly. But no, I know exactly what you're saying, Mr. President, and agree. I want to make sure what we have currently on the books is as good as we can do. And if it's not, and if we can do a little better,
Sure.
I'd like to see us doing everything we can, but I'm with you.
You know which day the article was in?
It was today or yesterday? I mean, it
Yeah,
was
yeah, I think it
recently.
was yesterday's, Sunday was
Yeah.
Sunday's paper.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a great
It's a
article.
really good article.
Any further comments about Mr. Kavachi's issue? I think, yes, Mr. Frazier, you had something to bring up.
Yes, I just, whole different venue here, but, going back to what Mr. Glass has done with the wastewater treatment plant, taking the pipeline and put it to Performance Food Group, I would like to suggest, because I suggested last time we should be looking into this, but we have to wait because we don't want to have to dig up roads and so forth. But if we could come up with a list of businesses around or buildings or whatever, golf courses, whatever it could be, that could possibly use this in the future, where we could possibly, pinpoint them on a map, draw some type of pipeline, the best way to get it there and so forth. So when something is being done, a street's torn up for another reason, we see that street's being torn up, we can come in with the pipeline and put it in at that time. Because if we don't have this down already, when something gets done, we might miss the opportunity to do this. And as tight as water's getting around Carroll County and everywhere else, I think we have to jump on this right now.
I think that's an excellent idea, and I would add to it to say we should probably develop a list of potential users, not existing ones, but what are the kinds of businesses or activities that could profit from that so that we can market that to them, as an economic development tool.
Say I went on the internet, so I'm not really good at it, but if you go to Las Vegas, they reuse so much, it's unbelievable. And
Yep.
they have a list of, they actually started in 1948,
Yeah.
what the article said I read, of doing this, and they reuse for all these things. I mean, not that we want to jump on them, but why reinvent the wheel? They've already
Sure.
done it, they're already working for it. See what they've done, let's kind of piggyback on that.
Yep, there's,
They've been dealing with scarcity far longer than us.
We're in the middle of a desert.
sure,
We're not yet.
Great.
hopefully not. Anything else? Thank you, Mr. Frazier. On to bids, we have two bids tonight. First is approval of purchase of strength equipment for the Family Center. Ms. Gruber.
Yes, good evening. This would be phase one in what would be the replacement of the fitness equipment for the Family Fitness Center. So this particular request includes only the selectorized equipment and the plate-loaded strength equipment for the Family Fitness Center. This does not include the cardio equipment at this time. As we continue to endeavor in a construction project in the gym itself, I don't want to introduce brand-new cardio equipment because it can be sensitive to drywall dust and things like that. So this request is simply for the purchase of the strength equipment. We have been working with a company named Fitness Resource, and they recently negotiated a contract with Fairfax, Virginia, to outfit fitness centers and community centers operated by Fairfax, Virginia. And their bid prices are very competitive. We went from an initial quote of equipment without being on a contract of $51,000 for the same equipment that we will now be able to purchase for $44,000. I do have a layout for you to preview, and I can explain this a little bit, and I apologize. I think two of them are in color,
Thank you.
and the rest are in black and white. But what you'll see on this particular drawing is, if you're familiar with the Family Fitness Center and some of the construction that we've already done, the small cardio room, which is at the rear of the fitness center, it used to be a hallway and then a smaller room with some cardio equipment in it. We took the wall down and opened up the hallway into the room to make a larger space. So that's what you're looking at right here. That's this room. And that will accommodate the selectorized circuit. It's 13 pieces of equipment. And this is, when I say selectorized, it's where you pull the pin out and you stick it in to select the weight. So it goes in increments of 10, 20, 30 pounds. And it guides the exercise, so it's no free weights. The other room that you're looking at on this particular plan is, this would be more of the plate-loaded equipment, so your squat racks and things like that. And this is actually showing you our current childcare area right now. Okay, so what we discovered is we have our highest ceiling height in the childcare area, and we're using it for our shortest clients. And so what we would like to do is put our weight stacks and some of our racks and benches over there because it makes the most sense. So what you see on this rendering is what would be, what I'm requesting to be purchased on this particular contract negotiated with Fairfax, Virginia. So I do have also a brochure if you want to look. The other attractive thing about the selectorized equipment is that the stacks are all uniform, so it will give a very uniform look to the gym itself. They have rep counters and timers built in on the equipment, so you don't have to worry about counting reps or if you're doing reps for time.
Will it yell at you if you're dogging it?
I'm not sure it does that.
I hope not, because I'm doing that all the time.
The other attractive thing about this equipment is all of the adjustments are bright yellow. So anywhere you can pull out a pin to move a seat up, it stands out and it says that it's adjustable because it's bright yellow in color. And they also all have action-specific grips. So if you're pushing, it's a wider grip on the heel of your hands. If you're pulling, it's a wider grip on the outside. So they actually lend themselves to the exercise.
Excellent. Any questions for Ms. Gruber?
I'm excited.
All right.
I do have one question. What are,
Ms. Frazier?
with the old equipment, I'm assuming there's old equipment, what are we
Yes.
doing with that?
That's to be determined. We need to get rid of it, and so we'll dispose of it. Some of that we could likely sell, and we have disposed of pieces where we've sold used equipment to other gyms in the area. So it will be discussed as we get into the process. I didn't want to put the cart ahead of the horse and assume
I
I
was
could
just
get
curious,
rid of the
'cause-
old equipment just yet.
I mean, I'm assuming, since I've been to the gym a few times, that it's in pretty good shape. Is there any thought of donating to like school system, something of that sort?
We certainly could endeavor into that. There's always, and I would have to discuss this more with Ms. Levan, any risk and liability associated with donating those types of equipment, if a cable would break or something would be faulty. So we certainly would have to discuss that if that's what we chose to do.
Thank you. Can I just make a general comment?
Please.
Because Saturday I went to a different gym, not ours, sorry.
That's
For a
okay.
training for a competition I was getting ready for. And the difference between the gym we have here and the gym I was at was just night and day. I was actually afraid to try some of the things because of, it just, it was scary, basically. There was no padding, there was no this, there was no safety. You go to our gym, everything's where it should be. There's room to get around everything. No one's going to be bumping anybody else. Everything is just, it just feels like a comfortable place to work out in. This other gym, although it had some stuff I needed to use, it was just uncomfortable. So, I mean, it's just, I'm just complimenting you on how well everything is running at the city gym. I think it's great. If you go to other gyms to see the difference, you'll really appreciate our gym more.
Good, thank
I
you.
agree.
I'm in agreement too.
Thank you, Ms. Gruber. Approval, next item on the bids. Should we do these separately or just listen to them both and then do them both together? Any opinions? We'll just. All right, so I will entertain a motion for the approval of the bid for the purchase of the strength equipment for the Family Center.
So moved.
A
Second.
motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, Ms. Gruber, you have your equipment.
Thank you.
Approval of bid for street department utility maintenance roof replacements. Mr. Glass.
So the current year budget contains funds for facilities maintenance, specifically for re-roofing the two facilities, one at the street department and one at utility maintenance. And their contracts are divided in separately because they're from different funding sources. One's general fund and the other one is water. We prepared the bid document early in February and just recently opened them in early March. We did get two bids. They ranged, it's quite a wide range actually, from $95,945 to more than $253,000, with the apparent lowest bidder being from Donald B. Smith Roofing, referred to, they do business as DBS also, but they're out of Hanover, Pennsylvania. They were the low bid at $95,945. They've done considerable work for us in the past. Did not do the work on this building though. This is our most recent roof job, but everything at the wastewater treatment plant, everything at the water treatment plant, almost all of our pump stations have all been done. And your building down at Recreation was done by DBS also. But needless to say, it was part of the bid document that they were required to supply references and project experience, which exceeded all of our expectations. And again, they have done considerable work for the city. So as a result, I would recommend that the mayor and council accept the proposal from DBS, the amount of $95,945 for the street department and $78,395 for utility. The total is $95,945. Of that is $78,395 for the street department and $17,550 for utility maintenance.
Thank you, Mr. Glass. Any questions from council for Mr. Glass?
Do you have any idea why it was such a wide range?
We see this, unfortunately, in the case where we own so few bidders. We find it, oftentimes the high bidder already has plenty of work to do, but they'll bid high, and if they get the job, they'll hire additional people just for that project. So they just put a bid in, and if they happen to get it, then great. But again, it can be, maybe $2 to $3 higher than per dollar of the lowest bid. We see that regularly.
Thank you, Mr. Glass.
Yes, sir.
I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the bid.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion or questions? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you, Mr. Glass.
Yes, sir.
We have no ordinances and resolutions. We have one item of unfinished business, approval of the easement for the Bennett Surf Park Trail. Mr. Hall? No, Ms. Grover.
Mr. Glass.
Mr. Glass?
Keep you guessing.
3 strikes. This memo is in regard to this is a cooperative effort between the city and the county to expand the Random House Walking Trail. And I'm sure you all recall the July 8th council meeting where a letter of support for the project was requested and unanimously approved. The next step was to draft the easement necessary for crossing the city property and legal review of that document also. The easement is attached, and if you look in it's at the back page, there's a rendering of how the trail would go. The trail's in yellow, and if you look closely at parcels outlined in red, those are actually the city parcels that the trail will traverse. And what we're hoping to do is, because the legal review has already taken place for the easement, but what I don't have is the exhibit that will show the meets and bounds of the alignment of the trail. What we want to do is provide that, if we can get the easement approved, once the trail is constructed, or at that time, we'll have the Exhibit A then, which will show the meets and bounds and offset of the trail at that time. Both documents together will be fileable at that point, and we'll take it to the county to have it finalized then. So this memo seeks approval for the mayor's signature for the easement, so the project can move forward with the understanding that this filing date will happen in the near future. So I would recommend that the council approve this easement for the mayor's signature.
What kind of trail will it be? Is it going to have blacktop or just, what is it going to be?
That's my, my understanding is it's to be a paved trail.
Okay. About how long is it?
And again, you can tell Abby's had more to do with this than I have. She made me read the document, so.
I made you walk it too, so approximately a mile.
Mr. President?
Yes, Mr. Crouch?
Who's going to maintain it once it's built?
County.
Awesome.
That's also as per the easement.
Excellent.
So I would love to see this trail get hooked up with some of our other trails as part of a city,
I think that, yeah, that's the intention.
city circling and city crossing network of trails and paths.
This is getting closer and closer to hooking into the Wakefield
Right.
Valley Trail. So it's going towards the community pond, which is the right direction.
Perfect. All right. Any further questions? I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Thank you, Ms. Albert.
Second?
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, easement is approved.
Mr. President,
Yes, Mr. Frazier.
I would like to make a motion pursuant to Section 10-508-A-7 of the State Government Article of Annotated Code of Maryland to conduct a closed meeting immediately after this meeting to consult with counsel to obtain legal advice.
Thank you, Mr. Frazier. Is a motion?
I'll second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. One last item, new business, the ENR Contract Amendment 6. Mr. Glass.
Yes, sir. Originally, the city had contracted with Stearns & Wheeler GHD for a preliminary design report to investigate engineering required to make our wastewater treatment plant ENR, bring it to ENR standards. And since that time, you can see this is Contract Amendment 6. There's been a number of amendments, changes in scope, et cetera, to get us to this amendment. Amendment 6 is in reference to the septage facility. So let me step back to Amendment 5. What we found and necessitated Amendment 5 was that there were some changes that needed to occur at the septage facility that is located on site of our wastewater plant, but is operated, paid for by the county. We operate it, the county reimburses us for everything that is required to do that, for labor, chemicals, the whole bit. In Amendment number 5, the county had asked us to, if they could use our engineer, we would be the vehicle to get there, to do a study on the septic facility for some alternatives that they may have to upgrade their facility as well. That study has been complete, and I think Ms. Palmer may know the answer to this, but I think we paid the last invoice. I know that the actual engineering work is done. We may have one more invoice to go, but I'm not completely sure of that. But as a result of that, amendment number 5 and the study that was complete, again, the county has returned to us, and they have selected one of the alternatives out of amendment number 5 study, made amendment number 6, which is for the engineering design work that was discovered in amendment number 5. Basically, what they're looking to do is, again, to use our engineer to do that design work. It would work exactly as amendment number 5 did, where all costs are complete pass-through from the city to the county. And at this point, their not to exceed cost for that engineering design is at $303,093.87. It's important also to note that this amendment falls outside any potential grant funding and is not subject to NDE's approval at all. So unfortunately, you don't get the money, but they don't get to tell you you can't do it either. But that's kind of where we stand with it. And due to our tight schedule, before we would go forward with this, we need to have to complete the legal review also, which is we're underway, but not completely there yet. So I guess what I'm looking for is if we could get the approval after legal review for the mayor to sign this, that may save me 2 weeks until the next council meeting to have that done at that time. So unless there are questions, that's all I have to offer.
Any questions from council?
So, Mr. President, I'll make a motion,
No.
I'll make a motion that pending legal review and approval, we approve this amendment. So that's pretty much how we want to say it, right? It was a fun 40 pages, too, of information you had in here. Really enjoyed that over the weekend.
Absolutely, it's
Hey.
a certain cure for insomnia.
Yeah.
So we have a motion?
Have a second?
Motion and a second. Any further questions or discussions? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Amendment is approved. Thank you, Mr. Glass. We are now to departmental reports. Ms. Wolf.
Mr. Glass, do you have anything further to?
I've said everything that thank you.
Yes. As Mr. Cavacci mentioned, the Celtic Canter was held in Westminster on March 15th, and all told, we had over 700 runners between the 5K and the Kids Run. So an event of that magnitude, over doubling the amount of runners that the city hosted last year for the same event, we had a very successful day with very few incidents. And those that did occur, we have already begun to figure out how we prevent them from occurring in the future. So we'll be holding wrap-up meetings. We already had our first wrap-up meeting with the timing company that provided the chip timing for us, and we'll be holding a larger scale wrap-up meeting the second week of April to go over our plan for future races and to grow the event and where it's headed. We'll have that meeting with law enforcement and other interested parties at that time. Also, if anyone has been past the skate park, they will recognize that there's a large piece of it missing. Today, the half pipe was deconstructed and moved to the landfill. So this is the beginning of the removal process of the current park, and it looks like we are looking at a construction date for the new park to start on April 28th. Lastly, we were successful in receiving a small grant from the Cigarette Restitution Fund, and it is my intent to identify certain areas of our parks as active play zones for children, where I would like to request that there will be no smoking around these areas, and those areas would be our playground structures and our ball fields. So I wanted to put that out there this evening to see if anybody had any thoughts or concerns with that line of thinking. Our parks are not smoke-free, but I would like to encourage those that want to use tobacco products to not be at or near where children are playing.
Mr. President?
Mr. Karachi.
As you know, Ms. Brewer, especially considering where you came from, I'm the president of the Westminster Area Recreation Council, county entity, not city, and that is standard procedure for all the county facilities, the schools, where most of the recreation activity outside of the city occurs, and most of our citizens recreate, at least on the youth level, on a regular basis. So I think this is completely in line with what's already happening all around us. We're probably actually odd man out currently not having that policy. Frankly, I'm sure most people don't realize that because they're so accustomed to not being able to smoke on ball fields and recreation fields almost everywhere universally. Traveling up and down the East Coast with my kids, you can't do it anywhere. So I think this is a good move, and I don't think it's something people are going to have a lot of problem with because I think mostly it's already in place. So I think it's a good idea. And I'm not a big fan of a lot of restrictions, but this one makes sense to me.
I agree with Mr. Karachi. I don't think anybody will find this controversial, so I think it's a great idea. I also I apologize for not mentioning in my earlier comments about the Celtic Canter. I participated in my own way.
Not cantering?
There was no cantering being done. It was more of a shamble. it was huge, and it was stunning, the visual of all of those yellow shirts going up Main Street, and the sun came out right at the start, and it was just stunning. It was so beautiful, and it was just really cool. People actually came out and were cheering like it was a parade. It was just crazy, and then afterwards, in the park, it was a big party, and it was, and I think I actually spoke to a couple of the residents surrounding Belgrove Square, and they were into it. You know, they thought it was a really cool thing, and I think it's a great opportunity to build on that and make it some cool kind of festival or something. I mean, it was really, really neat. It was a great day for Westminster. So thank you for everything you did with that.
Mr. President, I agree. The beautiful sight, too, was all the folks that came downtown and spent some money after the event, because I happened to be around, and my oldest daughter actually works at one of the local restaurants in town, and it absolutely was an economic boon that day. And that's important, too. So wonderful work. Wonderful.
That concludes.
Good evening. I will not be at the next council meeting because I'll be attending the user conference for the Tyler Eaton suite of products that the city uses for its software. So I found that conference to be extraordinarily useful last year, and I appreciate the opportunity to go back again. But that will throw us directly into budget season. So the next time that I see you, I expect that I will have a budget workshop prepared for you. I hope that we'll have everything put together and be ready to do that. The following meeting, we should have a budget ordinance ready for introduction and have a hearing prepared and ready to do that with adoption at the following meeting. So hopefully by the next time that I see you, we'll be ready to go.
Thank you.
Good evening. Chief just wanted me to remind everyone, if you would, April 2nd is the Police Department's award ceremony. It'll be at 9 o'clock in the morning at Carroll Arts Center. Not only will we be recognizing Police Officer of the Year, Civilian of the Year, and our Civilian Worker of the Year as well, but we're also going to be recognizing 3 individuals. The chief put the announcement out on Friday that are being promoted. Sergeant Scott Peters being promoted to lieutenant, Corporal Jeff Schuster and Corporal Rad Darby are both being promoted to sergeant. So that'll be part of our ceremonies on the 2nd. So that's all.
Thank you.
Just briefly, I attended the state planning directors meeting last week, and you can tell we're getting close to a gubernatorial election because there's not a whole lot of planning law going through the legislature right now. So the only one actually pertains to our sustainable communities. We're looking to reauthorize funds so we can continue to take advantage of all the great programs that are available to the city as a sustainable community.
I have nothing.
I just have a couple of items I'd like to mention, and that is to remind council that at our April 14th meeting, we will meet at 6:30 because we will be along with the tree commission, dedicating a memorial tree to Rebecca Orenstein out in front of City Hall here. I'd also like to remind everybody that we will have a house tour this year, and since it is the 250th anniversary, we want it to be a very special house tour. So we are targeting Willis Street, the Willis Street area. Yes, are those volunteers I see with the hands?
I just put new carpet on my stairway that was ruined in the last one, so I don't know. We'll see.
But we are targeting the Willis Street area, and that will be the first weekend in December. And if anybody is interested in being on that house tour, we stand ready to help you in any way that we can. I would also like to conclude by just saying we are going to have a magnificent entry into the Peep Show this year. We have decided to go all out, and it is already amazing what staff has come up with. So you can be prepared to await the arrival of our entry.
Standing. All right. Thank you, Ms. Wolf.
Restaurant Week, I'm being reminded that we have Restaurant Week coming up.
Oh,
April 4th through the 12th.
4th through 12th.
14 restaurants, 2014, amazing specials.
Sweet.
I know.
All right.
They're great deals most of the time.
We have some fabulous restaurants in Westminster.
And there's breakfast, lunch, and dinner, you have to cook for 10 days.
How do you think I look like I do? We have too many. That's my problem.
All right, thank you, Ms. Wolf. Citizens' comments, if you want to be heard, please identify yourself for the secretary. But before we do that, we have a visitor or a Boy Scout? Yeah? Do you want to introduce yourself, say anything?
I'm Kevin Richardson from Troop 395. For requirements for a merit badge, I had to sit in to city council meeting for the city of Westminster.
Excellent.
Exciting stuff, huh?
You should get an extra merit badge for not falling asleep. But thank you for coming, and I hope we taught you something.
Where's that group out of? Vicksburg.
But thank you for
Yeah,
coming.
I
All right. Anything you want to comment on, or? Okay. Excellent. Anybody else like to be heard? All right, we're adjourned.